Hey everybody, video here for you today. Now I want to thank all the people who have sent me the great messages, ideas for videos. I learn a lot looking at my messages and looking around after I read them. I also want to thank the people for sending me notes of appreciation for 70 videos in the last couple months. And really, I don't consider it work. Just turn on your computer, talk what you know about. It's not that hard. There's a lot of subjects to cover in ancient history. Ancient history certainly isn't just Peru and Egypt. And I know people appreciate the vast amount of topics I talk about. But today, what are we going to do here? We're going to go down to Hampton Cove in Alabama. I almost forgot what I was talking about here. This is Huntsville down here, the Hampton Cove area, Big Cove area. This is a message I got from a sub a few days back. This is the area that we are going to be talking about. Goldsmith Shiftman Wildlife Sanctuary is right nearby here. I have a big vacant area here and then a home division going in right here. That's all well and good, new homes, except for one thing. This is built on a 1,500-year-old village. Many artifacts and human bones have been found here, but somehow this construction seems to go on. Why? Here we are down on Google Street View. This is Taylor Road. This village probably went over, extended all the way over to the Flint River over here. Here are some new homes that were just being developed as of the taking of these pics here. Brand new neighborhood built on a 1,500-year-old village here with burials and many artifacts found here. Here's the article I got sent. New homes in Huntsville being built over possible 1,500-year-old Native American burial sites. Here are sites, some small artifacts found at the area here. It says state officials are investigating reports that a North Alabama developer is building homes on a site of a Native American village and likely burial site in Huntsville. The development, called Flint Crossing, is in the Hampton Cove or Big Cove area of Huntsville off Taylor Road near the Flint River. Jeff Benton Homes began building the subdivision last year, but nearby residents reported finding pottery shards, spearheads, and even possible fragments of human remains in and around the construction site. It says those residents contacted Ben Hoksbergen, post archaeologist at the U.S. Army's Redstone Arsenal, who says he informed the developer in the city of Huntsville about the finds in May and June of 2019. Hoksbergen also found a site assessment of the property conducted by a private archaeological firm in 2010 that showed significant evidence of a Native American village at the site, dating roughly back to 1,500 to 1,100 years ago. Hoksbergen said he informed the developer and the city last summer that the construction may be in violation of the state law and city ordinance protecting human burial or historical sites, but the construction is still ongoing. He also told the Alabama Historical Commission, which is now looking into this situation. But why did it get this far? Jonathan Jones, one of the residents who initially contacted Hoksbergen, said he was walking a trail at the wildlife sanctuary when he noticed unusual objects in the dirt back in June of 2019. And that's what you're looking at, where the Flint River here flooded in the wildlife sanctuary. I was walking on the trail, and I saw there was a bunch of shells, like mussel shells and snail shells, and just shells that were from the river, but I noticed it was in a really weird spot. I went over the shells and noticed a couple bones laying around and saw part of a skull, like a crushed skull and a tooth. Jones showed cell phone photos to people, and he said upon returning to that spot later, the area where he had found the remains had been covered with a thick layer of fill dirt and crushed rock. So people knew about these remains. They have always known about the burial site here in the ancient village. And then when this guy went public with this story, they went to the spot where he found these remains and covered it up so nobody could really investigate it. That's the way it looks to me. Is that what's supposed to happen when bones are found? You're supposed to bring in somebody and dump rocks and fill on it? Jeff Benton said he had no prior knowledge of archaeological significance at the site. Well, just not sure about that. It says Alabama Historical Commission, the state agency that enforces the Alabama Burial Act, said that it could not comment on the active investigation, but the act requires construction to stop if human remains of any age are found at any site. It says when there is an accidental disturbance of a cemetery or the discovery of human remains. Here is the entrance to the wildlife sanctuary, right where these remains were found. And I guess other people have found bones and other stuff going back quite a bit in history. But it says, when there is disturbance of a cemetery, all ground disturbing work must stop within a minimum of a 100-foot radius of the discovery, and law enforcement should be notified immediately. Why even have a guy in 2010 do an archaeological report and report that there's a native village here with many artifacts and burials, and then just have that information be totally disregarded? Some people really dropped the ball in this one. This law was even amended in 2010 to specifically include all human remains, not just those in marked or known cemeteries or recent remains. Martin said the law recognizes that accidental disturbances may occur at unmarked sites, but that the developers have a responsibility to act when they find human remains. There was a report done 10 years ago that this was a historical site, and stuff like this goes on. This is the way we treat ancient sites in America. I can only think that this field out here had mounds at one time, and it's not developed today because they knew it was a historical site. This road doesn't mean anything. The historical site extended over here, back way out to here, I'm sure. A lot of artifacts found here. So as this site has been developed in the last year or so at least, I'm not sure when exactly it started, but residents in the area would come by here, pick out artifacts and human bones, and try to notify people of the situation. Finally, this Hoksbergen guy got notified. Since last May, he has been repeatedly attempting to contact city and state officials and try to get something done about this, and he seems to be ignored at every avenue. And it says that investigations were done on the significance of the site and none was found, and the certain things were reviewed, but I guess city officials or people with the development company never provided evidence of what they reviewed to determine the significance of the site. Pretty sad. Talks about the assessment of the 2010 study. It says their assessment showed hundreds of historical artifacts from Native American settlement established to be between 500 and 900 AD, and recommended that portions of the site be preserved or maintained as a green space due to the high concentration of artifacts. And that appears what's happening over here. That's why it's not developed. But somehow this Jeff Benton guy got permission to build on a historic site, and the facts that it was a historic site were completely ignored. I have talked about a lot of native sites being destroyed, mound builder sites, village out here. The archaeological work done here in 2010 stated that, probably why this area here, nothing's been developed in it. This village stretched all the way back into here. When the company was digging out the foundations of the homes, people would come by here, pick out spearheads, artifacts. They'd see bones. Archaeologist was notified. He notified the city, state, everybody possible. Well, nothing seemed to work here until just a couple months ago, when I guess this was brought to people's attention early in 2020, after people were notified in May and June of 2019. Hoksbergen said, I worked with developers, I worked with Army engineers, and I understand their need to meet the bottom line. But the law is the law. I just can't sit and watch this happen. Well, good for you. After looking at many mound sites, I'm pretty sure there were some mounds over here on that vacant property at one time. This neighborhood here, living on ancient ruins of a village that probably thrived here for centuries. That is a video coming from Huntsville, Alabama. Thanks to the sub who sent me that article. If you destroy ancient ruins, I just may talk about it. That's a video here for you today. Unfiltered, unscripted. Hope you thought that was informative. And you all have a very safe day.